Give me some volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders.
Divorce rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men. Terrible that you would apply.
Barack Obama didn't fade into the background. He went Hollywood. Swapped the Oval Office for a Netflix deal and a beachfront estate. These days, he's rolling out memoirs like mixtapes and handing down advice from a pedestal built on double standards. But Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld aren't buying the performance. They're ripping past the smooth delivery to spotlight the real story. All flash, no foundation. Get ready for a ruthless takedown, where charm collides with cold, hard truth. And yes, he locked in that production deal, too.
I get a glass of water? I'm serious. I'm thirsty. Can I get a glass of water? This is not a prank. You never seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's amazing.
no.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this.
Problem
He's
is solved.
bullshitting the world. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? What? They would never do that. They would have water ready for him. No, you bring a fucking water.
Is Obama gay, needing attention over an old letter? What? I should read that again. Anyway, no, we'll just keep going. The New York Post obtained a redacted portion of a handwritten letter the former president sent to his then college girlfriend, Alex McNear. Alex, eh? Back in 1982. He talked about his, quote, androgynous mind and wrote, and I'm quoting Obama here, I make love to men daily, but in the imagination.
Barack Obama strolled into history armed with a pen, a teleprompter, and the swagger of a man who believed hope counted as a strategy. For 8 years, he delivered speeches that sounded profound, but said almost nothing. His presidency played out like a TED Talk under Secret Service watch. Polished delivery? Absolutely. Tangible results? Not so much. Yet every time he arched an eyebrow, his followers reacted like he'd just split the atom.
Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans.
Joe Rogan circles the conversation like a shark catching the scent of blood. Only this blood is made of recycled nostalgia and a carefully crafted narrative. If you've ever debated quantum mechanics mid-ayahuasca trip in a sauna while wrestling a bear, you've basically had lunch with a man. When Rogan looks at Obama's legacy, he doesn't see a dignified leader. He sees a comedian who landed a Netflix special without delivering a single punchline. From the moment Obama uttered his signature, "Let me be clear," Rogan knew clarity was the last thing we'd get. What followed wasn't leadership, it was political interpretive dance. Lots of motion, zero meaning.
You know, he was roasting Trump in the audience, and you could see Trump in his head going, okay, I'm going to run now. Like, that might have been the thing that got him to run.
No one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac?
That one moment where Obama was talking to him might be the reason why Trump was like,
Greg Gutfeld strolls in with that signature smirk, the kind that says, "Watch me wreck your reputation using nothing but sarcasm and a can of Red Bull." And Obama? He gave him a masterpiece to work with. Here was a man who snagged a Nobel Peace Prize before he even unpacked at the White House, then spent the next 8 years turning the Middle East into a drone testing ground, cheered on by Hollywood's elite. It was like watching a self-proclaimed pacifist win a UFC title before the first round, only to enter the octagon wielding a steel chair, while a choir of journalists sang his praises from the sidelines.
Number 44 wants to help the left censor more. Former President Obama, if that's his real name, is launching a campaign to stop the spread of disinformation, which he called a real challenge for our democracy. And also for his former Veep, who's challenged by questions like, what's my name and why am I nude in the Rose Garden?
Joe Rogan tackles foreign policy like a pit bull tearing into a pair of overpriced Italian loafers. He's not parsing diplomatic nuance. He's calling it like a UFC ref watching someone tap out beneath a barrage of precision airstrikes. When it comes to Obama's infamous red line in Syria, Rogan sees it the way a survivalist sees a broken compass. Totally useless, and somehow still a threat. This was a president who warned a dictator with all the force of a high school principal scolding a kid for skipping lunch. Spoiler, Assad didn't even blink.
Obama said he was a jackass.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing up there? Do that? He's a jack.
It's like, oh really? Well, you.
It was about the Taylor Swift thing.
Now, all this stuff.
That guy's a jack. It wasn't even that harsh of an incident. And he said it privately, and I think somebody heard it. I don't think he said it to be public.
I'm assuming all this stuff. Where's the pool? Come on, guys. Cut the president some slack.
Oh, here it is.
Seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award.
Why would he do that?
He's a jack. No.
Gutfeld tackles the economy like he's carving into the driest Thanksgiving turkey on earth. Bone dry, overcooked, and begging for a punchline. He resurrects Obama's infamous shovel-ready jobs promise and spins it into a full-blown Broadway farce. Shovel-ready? The only thing ready was the public's blind faith in anything that rhymed. It was like ordering a steak and getting a scented candle. The recovery dragged itself out of the 2008 crater like it had a hangover from too many campaign slogans. But hey, if success is measured by how many times you can say recovery summer without bursting into laughter, then Obama was on fire. Joe Rogan doesn't miss the irony either, watching Obama cozy up to Wall Street while preaching to Main Street like some economic savior. The guy showed up to Goldman Sachs galas with the energy of a roadie who lost his guitar but still insisted on jamming. He bailed out the banks, left homeowners gasping for air, then took the stage like he'd just taught America how to swim. It was the political equivalent of robbing your neighbor and getting a thank you note for saving the block. Then Gutfeld shifts to healthcare, wielding sarcasm like a scalpel. Obamacare, the crown jewel of Obama's domestic legacy, was pitched like a miracle cure, until people realized it was basically a Groupon for medical confusion. Sold as universal care, it felt more like a choose-your-own-adventure book, written by the DMV. The website launch was such a disaster, it made MySpace look like Amazon. And yet, there was Obama, grinning through the chaos like a wedding DJ, oblivious to the fact that the speakers were on fire.
Let's admit it, America. We miss Barack Obama.
Juan does.
There he is. In a recent speech, he said he had no real scandals in his White House, the jab at Trump.
We didn't have a scandal that embarrassed us. I know that seems like a low bar. Generally speaking, you didn't hear about a lot of drama inside our White House.
No drama. So to quote the TSA officer whose dog just sniffed my carry-on, let's unpack this. So why didn't you hear much about O's White House? Well, who was brave enough to look? There was never a cozier relationship between a president and the media, ever. If the White House were a bed, the press was the mud.
Joe dives headfirst into the cultural fault lines. Under Obama, America didn't just drift into identity politics, it cannonballed in like a teenager chasing Tumblr clout. Rogan, who makes a living poking at sacred cows, couldn't ignore the irony. The president who promised unity ended up sorting the nation into more categories than a Whole Foods snack aisle. Unity wasn't the goal anymore, quirk was currency. Gutfeld, never one to let rhetorical fluff slide, mocks the myth that you needed a decoder ring to grasp Obama's brilliance. In reality, all it took was the stamina to sit through an hour of polished platitudes without slipping into a coma. Behind the high-gloss cadence was a whole lot of nothing, just well-lit air. Then Joe grabs the mic on the surveillance state, the Orwellian monstrosity that quietly exploded under Obama like a dystopian fanfiction gone mainstream. The NSA wasn't just tracking terrorists, they were basically tuning in to Grandma's banana bread recipe. The man who ran on transparency ended up building a digital panopticon, then handed the keys to the deep state with a sly grin. And somehow, the crowd still clapped, like being wiretapped was a gift of freedom wrapped in hope.
Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
Really? Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did, just as an intelligent person. Right. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
Who said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally.
Which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017.
Yeah.
You know, I think it worked back then. I don't think it works anymore.
Greg grabs the legacy paintbrush and starts flinging sarcasm like Jackson Pollock splattering a White House portrait. First up, the Iran deal, a foreign policy gamble that felt like betting the house on a cracked roulette wheel in Vegas. You hand billions to a regime chanting "Death to America," and walk away grinning like you just scored backstage passes to rational diplomacy. Gutfeld paints the scene, Obama, blindfolded, shaking hands with the Ayatollah, pen in hand, surrounded by diplomats all reading different scripts, none of them in the same language. Then comes the immigration paradox, and Greg swings at it like a piñata stuffed with contradictions. This was the president who deported more people than any of his predecessors while giving speeches that played like bedtime stories for activists. Rogan pictures him standing solemnly in front of the Statue of Liberty, preaching hope, then yanking a trapdoor under thousands of dreamers. It wasn't a sanctuary, it was a stage set. An illusion gift-wrapped in a press release.
You know, if you watch Fox News on a regular basis, it is a constant menu. They will find, like, folks who make me mad.
So let's analyze. He says Fox goes out of its way to locate and then demonize the poor. For what reason? So we can kill and eat them? His criticism is absurd because he never suggests a motive. FNC is always focused on policies that keep the poor poor, not the...
Joe Rogan can't help but laugh. Here's a guy who spent 8 years sidestepping accountability, now dishing out life advice like the Dalai Lama, if the Dalai Lama had a drone license. This isn't leadership, it's lifestyle branding. Obama turned his presidency into a streaming franchise. Gutfeld pounces like it's the closing joke at a roast. Obama didn't retire, he rebranded. Now he's narrating documentaries about American hardship from a multi-million-dollar estate guarded tighter than Fort Knox. It's like reality needs a background check just to get past the gate. Joe snorts at the absurdity. Obama didn't just lead, he taught a nation to bow at the altar of symbolism over substance. And now he's monetizing it like a tech bro who just discovered TED Talks. The country didn't get better. It just got better at pretending things were profound because they were said slowly, with gravitas. Underneath it all? The same polished nothingness, dressed up in a designer suit.